Hi, welcome to my fifth video session on Introduction to Economics. We are reaching the final aspect in the definition of economics, isn't it? Before I start off with the growth and development definition, let us try to have a small recap as to how we have gone through the various definitions. A small briefing, isn't it? So that you would have a complete grip over the various definitions that has been spoken about, isn't it? Let us take the first definition, namely the wealth definition, which was given by whom? Adam Smith. We regard him as what? Father of economics, isn't it? We regard him as what? Father of economics. He regards economics as a study of wealth. That is, be that for that matter, an individual or a society, the basic objective is to maximize your well-being in terms of wealth, isn't it? So, he was advocating what? Selfishness for money or greediness for money, isn't it? So, the subject was looked at from a very narrow perspective to maximize your wealth, isn't it? So, it received scathing criticism in the hands of the critics, and they condemned this definition as a bread and butter science, isn't it? Bread and butter as science, and also as a dark and dismal science, that is, which does not have much of its scope. Slowly, the subject starts to die. As I've told you, the science of economics had its birth in the year 1776. Within a period of 100 years of time, that is from 1776 to 1876, the subject starts to die. It was at that time a great economist by name who? Alfred Marshall emerges, and he shifts the emphasis from wealth to welfare. He says economics is not a study of wealth, rather it's a study of welfare. This was said by whom? Alfred Marshall. I'm repeating it. Alfred Marshall shifts the emphasis in defining the subject of economics from wealth to welfare. He says the subject of economics is not a study of wealth, rather it's a study of welfare. So what is wealth according to Alfred Marshall? He says wealth is not an end in itself, it is only a means to an end, isn't it? He regards wealth as only a tool to attain your objective, isn't it? It was with this perspective he looks at the subject of economics from a different perspective, namely welfare. But what aspect of welfare? Materialistic aspect. Let us see as to how he defines the subject of economics. He says economics is a study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. He does not stop over there. He says it examines that part of the individual and social action which is most closely connected with what? Attainment of material requisites of the human well-being, isn't it? So, he regards economics as what? A study of mankind. So, he says it is concerned only with the study of humans, not of beasts or animals. So, he establishes that particular fact. And with what aspect of mankind, the behavioral patterns of mankind? Ordinary business of life. That is, as to how an individual earns his income, how does he spend it, how does he distribute his income, and how does he save it. So, he does not stop over there. He says, or he brings about an interaction between the behavioral patterns of twofold aspects. One is individuals and that of the society, isn't it? So, what is the basic objective in any individual? To maximize your well-being. Maximize your well-being, isn't it? In terms of what? In terms of wealth. In what aspect of wealth? Materialistic welfare. In terms of what? Materialistic welfare. Materialistic welfare, isn't it? So, likewise, what is the objective of any society? Maximize your well-being. In terms of wealth, what aspect of wealth? Materialistic aspect of welfare. So, this was what was being explained by whom? Alfred Marshall. Though his definition is so popular, isn't it? Which was accepted for a longer period of time without any demur. In fact, his definition is also subjected to severe criticism. Though he condemns that economics is not a study of wealth, but his definition also includes the concept of wealth in an indirect way, isn't it? The concept of wealth enters his definition through the back door, and it was largely condemned as what? A old wine in a new bottle, isn't it? So, having subjected to several other criticisms, isn't it? There has been a shift in looking at the subject of economics, not from wealth, not from welfare, rather from a new perspective called as what? Scarcity. And this definition was given by whom? Professor Lionel Robbins, isn't it? Professor Lionel Robbins. See, for a longer period of time, say up to 1932, the definition given by Alfred Marshall was holding good without any resistance or any demur, isn't it? It was with the publication of Professor Lionel Robbins' definition, Professor Lionel Robbins' essay in the year 1932, an essay on the nature and significance of economic science, isn't nature and significance of economic science. He initiates a fresh or a new controversy in looking at the definition of economics. He says economics is not a study of wealth and neither not a study of welfare. Rather, he says that it's a study of scarcity, which is the core issue or the core or the fundamental or the structure of any economic problem. That was what was said by Professor Lionel Robbins. Let us see as to how does he define the subject of economics, isn't it? How does he define the subject of economics? Given by whom? Professor Lionel Robbins. He says economics is study of economics is science. What does it do? Economics is a science. What does it do? It studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. Professor Lionel Robbins says economics is what? A study of scarcity, which is the core or the fundamental issue of or the basic structure of any economic problem. And he defines it as what? It is a science which studies what? Human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. If we just look at its definition, there are three basic propositions. One is ends, number two is scarce means, number three is alternative uses. These are the basic three propositions on the basis of which an economic problem would rest upon, isn't it? Ends refers to what? Human wants. Human wants are unlimited by its nature. Satisfaction of one want results in the emergence of the other. Perhaps that stage never arises where our human wants are fully satisfied only after that, isn't it? So, the second aspect is scarce means. Scarce means refers to what? The resources. The resources are very much limited. So, there is a confrontation between unlimited means or unlimited desires with that of the limited resources. This is the basic cause for the emergence of the economic problem. He does not stop over there. This economic problem further gets magnified on account of what? N number of alternative uses. As you know that in everyday's man's life, in fact, you come across or make use of several goods and services. After the usage of one aspect, isn't it? The remainder does not go as an isolated part. It has n number of alternative uses. It is on that ground the economic problem gets further magnified, which has been elaborately explained to you. Say, for example, electricity, isn't it? Electricity has n number of alternative uses. So as, like, for example, sugar cane. It has n number of alternative uses. It is on account of the alternative uses an economic problem further gets further magnified, isn't it? So, though he touches the core issue of the subject of economics, his definition is also subject to severe criticism. And as stated by Professor Lionel Robbins, he says economics is a study of scarcity, but the critics said that all economic problems do not arise on account of scarcity alone, which means he looks at the subject of economics from a static point of view and not from a dynamic point of view, isn't it? So, this results from the economists to look at the subject of economics from a dynamic perspective, and that definition was given by Paul A. Samuelson, isn't it, through his definition called as growth and development. Growth and development. The final definition in defining the subject of economics, which was given by Paul A. Samuelson. This definition is dynamic by its nature and not static. You can understand as we start defining as to how he has defined the subject of economics. This is one of the finest definitions that has been given by the economist, namely Paul A. Samuelson, in comparison to, yes, all of the definitions are great, but his definition is more complete. If possible, students, I request you to memorize this particular definition and understand the various nuances as to how it has been fitted into in defining the subject of economics. He says, economics is study of how men and society choose with or without the use of money to employ scarce productive resources to produce various commodities over time, and distribute for consumption for now, distribute them for consumption for now and future among various people and various members of the society. Just look at his definition, isn't it? He says economics is what? A study of how men and society, not only the individual, the members of the society decide what sort of a society they are in need of. Are they in need of a society with money or without money? That is a barter system or the monetized system, isn't it? See, I'm repeating it. He says economics is what? A study of how men and society choose with without the use of money, what for? To employ scarce productive resources. Why at all do we need money? To indulge ourselves in various economic activity, isn't it? So that I can tend to produce goods and services, and thereby when you tend to produce goods and services, the economic cycle starts to operate, isn't it? You indulge yourself in production. As you indulge in production, it results in what? Consumption, distribution, isn't it? This we call it as the chain of economic activity. So I'm repeating it. He says economics is what? Study of how men and society choose without the use of money to employ scarce productive resources, isn't it? What for? To produce various commodities over time. To produce various commodities over time, not only to produce, but also to distribute produce various commodities over time and distribute for future, isn't it? Not only for the present and also for the future among various people and various groups or members of this society. The definition is a little bit lengthy, isn't it? But it has a lot of nuances which is totally projected in its definition. Please try to memorize it. If not possible, at least go through this particular definition so that you can have a better understanding in defining the subject of economics. I know that it is difficult, but it is not that difficult provided you tend to break it. See, I have made use of a certain trick, like I have just broken down this definition to various parts. That has made me to recall the definition as and when required, isn't it? You can also make use of that particular attempt. Thank you very much. We shall proceed on. In the next video, we'll be probing into dwelling into the core issues of the subject of economics, which will become much more interesting. I think I have made very interesting to my earnest belief, isn't it? I have spoken about many things which would have drawn your interest. Okay, let us further interact in the forthcoming economic issues.